Good evening, South Windsor. That was awesome. You guys are great. It's so great to see young people at our meeting, in a room full of parents and grandparents, and this is awesome. So I'd like to call the meeting of the South Windsor Town Council regular meeting to order on Monday, October 3rd at 7 p.m. And I would like to have the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. That sounded great with so many voices here. Could I have a roll call, please?
Councilor Evans?
Here.
Councilor Kaboski?
Here.
Councilor Lopez? Councilor Paterna?
Here.
Mayor Pendleton?
Present.
Deputy Mayor King?
Here.
Councilor Kozakowski?
Here.
Councilor Leidecker? Councilor Gamble?
Here.
Thank you. I am going to go over to the lectern for just a minute, please. We have a presentation. Got this one. The only thing I like is this up to be shorter because I'm short. That's all. Yeah, because we have all these. That would be fantastic, Michael. I don't know how to do it. Thank you. There we go. Okay, thank you for your patience in having me move over here. This evening we have a wonderful presentation. We have our Little League sports team here with us this evening, I would like to introduce Mr. Al Maximino that could come up and speak a little bit about what their most recent win was and how they got there. And each one of these kids worked so hard to get where they're at right now. So if you could please join us.
Yeah, I'd like to thank the Town Council for recognizing this team. They represented South Windsor as the 9-10 District All-Star team. They advanced to the state championship. They won the state championship. Once they did that, they then advanced to the New England Championship, which was also the site of the Eastern Regional, and they won the New England Championship. And then in a spectacular championship game, they won the Eastern Region Tournament. That is the first time in the 66-year history of South Windsor Little League. We've had teams advance to the Eastern Region. We have never had a team bring home an Eastern Region championship. It's a fantastic job. Al Maximino, South Windsor Little League president. I've been involved for a very long time. But before we recognize the team, I'd like to say thank you to the town of South Windsor, the Park and Recreation Department, Molly Keys, John Caldwell, Dave Turkington, have been phenomenal. They've given us fantastic support. Clay Major, your facilities guy, takes so much pride in the Little League concession stand. I had an issue Saturday night. A coach sent me a text. I sent Clay a text. There was a town employee there within 20 minutes taking care of the problem that we had. So in appreciation of that, we've got a special plaque. This is what we always hand out to our South Windsor scholarship winners. It says special thanks and appreciation to the South Windsor Park and Recreation and the field crew of Dave Turkington for providing championship facilities, South Windsor Little League 2022 Eastern Region champions.
I'm so pleased to hear that our staff was helpful to the Little League, to the fields. I know they do a fantastic job, not only for you guys, but also for our own programs down at Rice Street Park, and they make our parks look terrific. So I'd like to start this evening by introducing our State Rep Tom Delnicki and our State Senator Saud Anwar, who have a proclamation that they're going to read, and then I have a citation from the town that I'm going to read, and we will be calling up the gentleman one at a time.
Before I read the state citation, I have to make a couple of comments here. Who is going to be a major league player? Raise your hands. All right? Because you're showing that level of talent, that level of focus. Now, this is going to be a tougher question. Who wants to play for the Yankees? And who wants to play for the Red Sox? And I'm not about to announce my allegiance right here, because you never know. I'm joined here with my dear friend, Senator Anwar, and Representative Curry sends his regrets on not being able to make it here tonight, but he wishes you all the best in what you've accomplished here. So I have an official citation introduced by Senator Anwar, myself, and Representative Curry. Be it hereby known to all that the Connecticut General Assembly offers its sincerest congratulations. And since everyone's going to get called up one at a time to get their citation, I'm not going to read the initial name on this one, because everyone here is a winner. In recognition of a very successful 2022 season, your team earned distinction as to the 10 under Connecticut State Champions, New England Champions, and Eastern Regional Champions. You and your teammates earned these titles through persistence, training, and teamwork. We wish you continued success in the future, on and off the baseball diamond. The entire membership extends its very best wishes on this memorable occasion and wishes to express continued success here for you. And it's given today, the 3rd day of October 2022, and it's signed by the President Pro Tem of the Senate, Martin Looney, the Speaker of the House, Matt Ritter, and the Secretary of the State of Connecticut, Mark Kohler. And again, you are all winners. Now, Senator Anwar, would you like to call the first one up?
I'm not yet. I need to read
Nope.
mine.
Sorry, Madam Mayor.
Would you like to say a few words before? Okay. So now I have a citation from the town of South Windsor that I'd like to read. Any more lady glasses on though? Hang on a second. I have to say, I'm sitting here, before I even start to read this, I have to say that my husband and I were Little League coaches way back in the day when our son was little. He's 32, so it was way back in the day. Al remembers, Mr. Maximino remembers, but it's phenomenal. I love the hoodies that y'all are wearing and the hats. It's great looking. First and foremost, I want to thank the parents. It's a dedication, and it's a commitment, and it's love, and it's support, and it's understanding, and it's all of the above, because we love our kids and we want them to have the best of it. And thank you, parents, for everything that you give. And thank you, coaches, for the time and the dedication that you give to the team. I know full well what that's about, and we appreciate you for helping the young folks of our community. It's awesome. Thank you. So now I'd like to read a citation from the town of South Windsor. Whereas the municipality of South Windsor, Connecticut is only as great as those persons who give exemplary service to their communities, whether through participation in voluntary programs or unique personal achievement. And whereas, I'm not going to say the name, a member of the South Windsor Little League is recognized for athletic achievement at South Windsor Little League's Championship All-Star Game on September 10th, 2022, and for becoming the 2022 Eastern Region Champions. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Elizabeth Pendleton, Mayor of the Town of South Windsor, acting on behalf of the Town Council and the residents of South Windsor, do hereby acknowledge and recognize 2022 Eastern Region Little League Champions, an outstanding athlete and which is worthy of the esteem of both community and the Town of South Windsor. In witness thereof, I have set my hand and caused this seal of the Town of South Windsor to be affixed on this 3rd day October 2022, signed by me, Mayor Pendleton, on behalf of Deputy Mayor King Jr., Town Councilors Evans, Gamble, Kabowski, Merrick, Kozakowski, Lopez, Paterna, and Lydecker. And now what I would like to do is I'm going to read this person's name, and then when you come up, we're going to do it alphabetically, and when you come up, you're going to receive both of these, unless you would like to say something. Please.
Thank you. So I was in New Haven. I had to talk to the School of Public Health students, and they were asking me a lot of questions, and I said, you have to stop, because I have to be here in South Windsor to celebrate some of the finest, smartest, hardworking, focused young people who are the champions. So I had to drive a little fast, but I'm glad I'm here on time. And I also would suggest, Madam Mayor, if with your permission,
Sure.
I was wondering if you can have all the town council members line up here, and we can actually have the parents up there, and we get one student at a time, and we get a picture, and then we can go through.
We're going to do the picture after.
No, one person at a time, kind of a thing.
One person, sure, and have the counselors?
Yeah.
Absolutely, I think they can move for your request.
Thank you. You want to come up here because?
They'd be more than happy to.
And what we'll do is when whoever's name we say first, you can come up, and then the parents, you can be there, and we can get a picture taken, and everybody can celebrate together.
Okay, and so the first player that we have, as soon as we get our council members in place, there we go. All right, is Dominic Caputa. We got two of them, but here, hold that right there. There you go. And then we now have Jesse Delafera.
All right.
Thank you. Now we have Lyle Dresser. There you go. Okay. I want to stand in the middle. Thank you. Okay. Now we have Western Dubois.
All
Dubois.
right.
Dubois. There you go. Wait, you're taller than me. He's taller than me. That's not good. And now we have Corbin Falco. There you go. Love this one. Awesome. Now we have Kason Louie. No, he's not on that one. Tom's gonna get him one.
Okay.
So come here, we'll hold it for you though. You got it. So now we have Jaden Matos. I love that. He said he didn't. Go give it to him. Okay, come back up for a picture. We got one. coaches, please. Joe Caputa. Matthew Dubois. Let me squeeze you.
Bless you.
Seth Falco. All right, there you go.
So proud of his dad.
No, it's okay.
Thank you.
Okay, now the last one, no, Steve Louis is the one who's gonna get it from the state. Steve Louis? Okay? Thank you. I would like each and every one of you to join the town council along with the coaches for a group picture, please. You can leave your citations and proclamations there, because we'd like to see your smiling faces, and with those big things, we might lose somebody.
Good, how are you?
Tall kids in the back. How you guys down there? You look good? How does it look, parents? Good? Yes. Okay. 1, 2, 3, thumbs up. All right.
Yeah, I usually am never cold and I'm cold.
I know,
Yeah, like I have goosebumps.
yeah, and it's like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Thank you. No, you guys are phenomenal. Great job. Not easy to do what you guys did, but you did a phenomenal job. Great job. Great job, you guys. I would have had laryngitis if I was at your game. I would have been screaming like crazy. And you guys are more than welcome to leave right now if you like. Congratulations.
Half of my life will never get back.
Which means we'll probably get out half an hour later.
Yes. Pretty much. Definitely a 9:30 meeting. If it gets out early, I'll be really surprised. Hopefully it will. You never know. Not a lot of people here, so.
Yeah.
Now that they're leaving.
I think they were maybe like
I love those hoodies. What? No. They have school tomorrow.
Oh, my man. Yes, that would have been awesome.
Okay. Okay, we're back. Now we are on that was fantastic. We're on item number 4, the mayor's remarks. Let's see. I have a few remarks this evening, and one of them is that for the awarenesses for the month of October, it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And please be aware or recognize that it's not just women have to deal with this, men also have to deal with this. We also have Down Syndrome Awareness Month. We also have the Bullying Prevention Month, Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and Fire Prevention Month. And I'd like to thank our fire department at this time for all the efforts that they've put in and the time and energy that they've put in over the various town events that we've had recently, and talking and speaking to families and children about fire life safety within our smoke trailer and within all the programs that they can offer at the fire department. So thank you to the fire department for that. And if any council would like to speak about any of those awarenesses, I'd give them the floor right now so they could say something. If not, I'd like to move on. The other thing that I would like to do is, with deepest sympathy and condolences, on September 27th, our retired town clerk, Lori Trahan, passed away. And at this time, I would like to take a moment of silence in her memory, and I'd like to have some thoughts for her family, Joe, and daughter Jamie, and granddaughter Hannah. If we could have a moment of silence, please. Thank you. And moving on, I would like to have Councilor Koboski, item number 5, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Move the adoption of the agenda as presented.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Not seeing any, the motion carries. Item number 6 is communications and reports from the town manager, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. To start with, I just wanted to let the council know that I attended the online ICMA conference and worked on my credential over the last 2 weeks and submitted the 40 hours worth of classes that I had to take and have been approved for my actual credential for the next year. So that is done and out of the way. Also, and in the actual written report, I do have a list of all the class titles that I took in case all of you are interested, but I think in the interest of time, we shouldn't waste our time reading through all those. Also, again, wanted to bring to everybody's attention that work on repaving the town hall parking lot has started. Many of the catch basins have been replaced and the sidewalk work is being completed. Our expectation is that paving should start sometime the first week of October, so anytime now. The public should be aware of changing traffic patterns and parking locations as the work progresses. So it's going to actually progress fairly quickly, so you may be here one day and park in one spot and come another day and have to park in a different spot, so just to be aware. Also wanted to make sure everybody was aware that work on the COVID-19 memorial has started at the Major Michael Donnelly Preserve. While Home Depot did not only donate a significant amount of the materials, they also donated a good portion of the labor through their own staff. At the time of writing the report, we've probably got about 2 to 3 more days to get the project completed, and wanted to say thank you to Home Depot for their help in getting to that end line on that project. Also, the Strategic Planning Committee has voted to retain the services of UConn to help with the strategic plan. They'll be conducting a survey of residents, holding focus groups, a retreat with the council and committee, and submitting a final report by July. We are in the very early stages of this project, and I'm certain there will be much more information to come so that residents have an opportunity to participate and have a say in the future of our community. And then the last item I just wanted to bring to the council's attention that's not on my report. In your packet, we do have a listing of all the RFPs as well as the bid waivers that that the council has approved as was requested at your last meeting. I think when you go through just numbers wise, real quick count, I think we have about 25, this is for the last 12 months, We have about 25 RFPs that we've already put out, and you've done 7 bid waivers. So,
Thank you, Mr. Maniscalco. Does anyone have any questions or comments to Mr. Maniscalco? Councilor Gamble.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you for the report, Mr. Maniscalco. I did notice, though, that the waiver of competitive bidding did not have any cost associated with it, like the bidded
yeah, we
page did.
we weren't able to pull those numbers as quickly as we were for the other ones because we award bids, so we actually have the awarded number.
Okay.
If you really want the dollar amounts, we can go back and get them. It's just it would take some additional time.
No, that's okay. I mean, I think it proves our point that we're not just waiving everything for the sake of, expediency. We're actually doing it for, public safety and those kinds of things. So, which leads me, I segued into my own question. How are we coming along with actually coming up with a ordinance or a resolution to sort of change that $5,000 limit, which we sort of feel is a very low number when it comes to things like, public safety issues or whatever those kinds of things are that we need to have quickly done?
Yeah, so I did pose a legal question to the town attorney. I'm waiting on a response back. So as soon as I get something back from him on that, we'll be able to try to start moving forward with something. But I did have a couple legal questions just to see how that interplay between an ordinance and the charter could potentially happen, and where we can go and can't go. So I'm kind of waiting for that back. But as soon as I get it.
Did he make it sound like it was a possibility and it just needs like a legal touch to it, or is it like?
Was something that he had to look into, is the
Okay.
way it was.
Fair enough. I won't make you commit one way or another.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Thank you. That's all I have. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Councilor Gamble. Councilor Kubasky, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mr. Maniscalco, on the list of the different seminars that were given, the one that kind of jumped out that I would like to, whenever time allows, for you and I to just talk a little bit more about was the priority-based budgeting.
Mm-hmm.
So that looked interesting. So at some point, if we could discuss that. I'm sure everybody here would love to get into it tonight, but we'll just hold off on that.
Yeah, I could give you an actual real quick overview, which I thought was really fascinating, because usually you go to a priority-based budgeting seminar and they talk to you about all the great things of priority-based budgeting and how it can save you all this money and all these other things. The purpose of that seminar specifically was an actual scientific study that was done on priority-based budgeting and the impacts it can have on municipalities. And basically what they found was priority-based budgeting has zero impact on the actual dollars saved on certain departments like public works, police, some of the more essential necessary services that we provide. It had zero impact either in a positive or negative manner on those departments. And it also had a negative impact on other departments that are not considered essential services exactly. So some of those would be like human services, parks and recreation, library services. Priority-based budgeting really significantly negatively impacted their budgeting, their budgets as a result. So it was based on a scientific survey that they had conducted amongst multiple municipalities across the country. It was really pretty fascinating.
Yeah, sounds interesting.
It was not what I expected, to be very honest.
The other item I just wanted to touch on was the Strategic Planning Committee. I did hear from a member of the committee about the decision to go with UConn and what they offer, and I think this is probably a great way to go. So I applaud the group for deciding to go in that direction.
Thank you, Councilor Kubasky. Councilor Paterna?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mr. Maniscalco, first of all, I think you're being modest, but congratulations on the credentials. And as town manager, I think how many 1,400 in the entire country are certified as you are?
It's 1,400 in the world.
In the world.
Yeah,
All right,
it's
so
an international
congratulations.
credential.
No, it's 1463 or something like
I
that.
don't
What
know
is
the
that?
exact
In the
number, but-
world.
So
Okay.
I wanted to make sure we add our congratulations to you. Thank you.
Thank you.
And the other issue is on the COVID-19 memorial. First of all, I want to thank Home Depot for stepping up, and I hope that will set an example for other companies in the community to step up and be a partner with us in some other projects in the future. And I know that grant and the money that was put together for that project, I know Councilor Evans had a lot to do with putting that together, so we appreciate her work as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Paterna. And Mr. Maniscalco, you said you did your 40 hours of training, but it took a lot more than 40 hours of training. It was 40 hours of classroom training, but then you also had to
Yeah,
do
so you have
paper,
to-
so it's more like 70 hours.
Yeah, you have to write, basically you have to write about what you learned and your takeaways from each class, and then submit it through an online portal to a committee that reviews what you did. And then, based upon that review, they either re-award your credential or not.
Well, thank you for being one of the rare few of the 1,400 internationally. We appreciate you for doing that, and your time and energy and effort for doing that, and your sleepless hours, staying up late writing the work that you did. Councilor Paterno.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. One other item, I know there's a report on the pickleball courts. I don't know if we have, I know Mr. Caldwell's not here tonight, but do we have a date yet on the opening of those pickleball courts?
I saw a picture just the other day that was sent to me, that they are very, very close to being done.
Great.
Like, it looks like a pickleball court, and I think it'll play like a pickleball court. I don't know exactly when they're gonna open it as a pickleball court yet, so it's very close though.
Okay, close. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Paterno. Councilor Evans.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just wanted to follow up on Council Paterno and the COVID-19 memorial, and really just thank our town staff as well for the work on that, and Home Depot. I did stop by there one morning last week, I think it was, and there was 2 of our staff were there working hard and very diligently, and they said the day before they had a number of people from Home Depot there working. They were nice enough to let my daughter lay a brick, and she was very excited about that, so we've contributed to that as well. So yeah, it looks like it's coming along great, and I can't wait to see the final product. I'm wondering if we can schedule some kind of, just kind of ceremony for the community as well to open that. Would be great. Thank you.
Certainly.
Thank you, Councilor Evans. I'd like to also notice or recognize that on page 5 within the town manager's report under the police department, it's never too early to prepare for an emergency, and this is from last month. I'd like to reflect back, seeing what happened recently in Florida, in South Carolina, North Carolina with the hurricane, and also up in Canada with the other hurricane. We were really blessed to have that not come into Connecticut and into our shoreline, because both of those were very massive hurricanes. But I'd just like to remind everyone that to go to the ready.gov so you can prepare for present storms or fall storms being hurricanes, or in the winter if we have any severe winter storms. I'm just trying to get the town, the folks and citizens, we should try to get them as prepared as possible in the best way that we can. And I want to thank Mr. Summers for presenting that at our last meeting. And just a reminder that folks can do their monthly checks and get everything. So thank you, Mr. Maniscalco. Is that it? Anyone else? Not seeing any, we'll be moving on. Thank you, Mr. Maniscalco. Now we have item number 7, public input for items on the agenda. Public input shall not exceed 30 minutes. When recognized by me, the speaker shall approach the lectern and give their name and address. Speakers shall avoid personal attacks or impugning or alleging any improper motive to any person. The speaker may address the council on any item on the agenda. The speaker shall limit their speaking time to 5 minutes. Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak to the council on any item on the agenda? Anyone from the public would like to speak to the council? Going for a third time, anyone from the public? Not seeing any, we'll be moving on. Item number 8, Councilor Evans, please.
Adoption of the minutes of the previous meeting. Be it resolved that the South Windsor Town Council hereby approves the minutes of the regular Town Council meeting of September 19th, 2022.
Is there a second? Any discussion? I'd like to have a discussion. I know it's written in our agenda as a special Town Council meeting, but I believe September 19th was our regular meeting. Is that correct, Kathy? It was a regular meeting. Okay, so it was read correctly to reflect regular meeting. And that was the only discussion. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Not seeing any. The motion carries. Thank you. Any communications from liaisons, officers, and boards directly responsible to the council? Item number 9. Anyone have their lights lit up? Not seeing any. We're good. Oh, I'm sorry. Councilor Kozakowski.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just want to report that the Planning and Zoning Commission had a meeting last Tuesday, and they had a couple of public hearings, but the most, I think, interesting to the council and for public interest, they had a public hearing and ended up approving a special exception for Revolutions Bowling for a new multi-purpose outdoor athletic field at their facility there. So Outdoor athletic field, so look forward to play some flag football maybe next summer. And I also want to report that the council is probably aware that there are multiple moratoriums held by the Planning and Zoning Commission, and in the time of the moratorium, they developed subcommittees to look at various aspects of the town, three of which, one dealing with our subdivision regulations, one dealing with our multifamily regulations, and another one dealing with the warehouse distribution regulations. And they reported that they've been meeting, the subcommittees have been meeting throughout the summers, and they provided some reports on the progress of that. So,
Thank you. Thank you, Councilor Koskowski. Councilor Paterno.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just want to note to everyone, Councilor Kozakowski and I also serve on the Energy Committee, and the most recent topic that we are discussing there is the idea of some electric vehicle chargers being placed in various locations around town. So we're looking at private companies who will come in and partner with us and the state to put some EV chargers. So into, I think it's 3 locations that we've looked at so far, but that's a couple months away, but at least we're talking about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Paterno. Councilor Evans.
Thank you. I just want to touch on 2 commissions that have not been able to meet as of yet. They are the Art Commission and the Social Justice Racial Equity Commission. The Social Justice Commission has worked very hard to try to find a date that would work for all commissioners. There are 5 that are appointed to that commission. There are 3 seats remaining, which would really be helpful if those seats were filled to be able to have that commission have more flexibility on when they're able to meet with a quorum. In my conversations with the community, I have talked to quite a few people who are interested in joining these commissions. I encourage those who can put people on the commissions to really take that step and make that happen so we can move these commissions forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other reports? Not hearing any. We'll be moving on to item number 10, reports from committees. I'd like to recognize Mr. Matt Montana this evening from the Park and Rec Facilities Committee. There he is. This is a subcommittee of the council. And there you go. Thank you.
Good evening. You can hear me all?
You can move it up to where it's higher for you. I just had to move it shorter for me.
That's fine. Good evening. My name is Matthew Montana, and I'm acting chairman of the Parks and Recreation Facility Planning and Implementation Committee. Our committee has been meeting since early March with Parks and Recreation staff to review their program needs for today and the future, assessing existing buildings for a temporary need, and reviewing various sites for a potential new permanent facility. We toured the old Orchard Hill Elementary School with staff and Board of Ed members and determined Old Orchard Hill is the best possible solution for a temporary space at this time. At the September 12th meeting, the committee voted and approved to recommend Parks and Recreation move temporarily into Old Orchard Hill Elementary School and steps be taken to turn the building over to the town as soon as possible. Our next step involved hiring Colliers International to assist with investigating 3 possible sites. We looked at the Priest property, Nevers Park, and Old Orchard Hill Elementary School for a new Parks and Recreation building based upon programmatic spatial needs. Upon further review and information from Colliers, it was determined that there were too many challenges for access to the Priest property to make it a viable proposed site. Colliers provided preliminary design layouts for the remaining 2 properties and reported a new 70,000 square foot park and recreation building would cost approximately $60 to $80 million in today's dollars. The committee feels that this is not appropriate time to take on roughly $70 million in debt for the town, and would like to gather public interest and input by way of tagging on to the strategic planning survey. The committee voted in favor of looking into the viability of purchasing LA Fitness to use as a park and recreation facility, gaining a pool, gym space, and other needed spaces. This facility would be used in conjunction with the Old Orchard Hill Elementary School, since LA Fitness does not have any field space. The committee received a preliminary report from the Parks and Rec Department director and determined it was a usable space, but money would be needed to be spent in order to have it meet their needs. Following the relocation and operation in the Old Orchard Hill Elementary School building, the committee will follow up with Parks and Recreation to see how the new location is working for them. We asked the Town Council to take the next steps in temporarily relocating the Parks and Recreation Department to the old Orchard Hill Elementary School building. We also request Town Council to review purchase options for the LA Fitness building in hopes Parks and Recreation could operate out of two existing facilities and save some money versus building a brand new facility. Thank you for your time.
Microphone on, that would be helpful. Does anyone have any questions? Okay, let's start over here with Councilor Gamble, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm Mr. Montana. How are you?
Very well, how are you?
Good, thanks. So you are recommending the old Orchard Hill for temporary, and then looking at the viability of using LA Fitness as a long-term to meet some of the needs of the Parks and Rec facility going forward.
Correct.
Is that your? And I'm sorry, was there? Did you vote on that? Was there an actual vote that said this is what we're going to vote on this, and then this was like asking the council for if they would do if they would see if LA Fitness was a viable option, right?
There were funds needed to see, the Parks and Rec director looked at it just as a spatial planning to see if it would fit what was in there already. It would fit some of the needs, but not everything because they don't have fields. Our committee would need further funding to involve Colliers to do like a true test fit to see what's there. I mean, I don't think anyone's been in the building since
it closed.
Correct.
Right.
So there's conditions in there, there's monies, and I don't even know what the cost of the building is. I can't speak for that.
But that is a recommendation of the committee would be to ask the council for funds for Colliers. Do you have any idea what what Colliers would be looking for money for that?
I do not. I mean, the initial was around 20,000, I believe it was, to do 2 test fits for a brand new facility. They have not looked into doing a test fit for Old Orchard Hill or for LA Fitness. So I can probably try and get a number, but I don't know what that would be in the range. But I guess it's probably gonna be the same 15 to 20, if I were to take a guess.
Mr. Maniscalco, can you just hold off to the other counselor? And then you can, go ahead.
And so based on the program specs that were presented to you in the beginning of this whole process, that's kind of how the basis of the LA Fitness kind of came about, because it met almost all of the needs of the specs that you were presented with.
It came about 2 ways. One, we looked at a couple different options. One, we know we have to have a temporary space, which Old Orchard Hill will work because it's similar to Wapping is right now. The new program needs that they have, they're adding a pool, other facilities that they don't currently have right now.
Right.
So knowing, money is always a big play in this, that if you're looking into, as Colliers reported to us, a brand new 60,000 square foot building, it's going to cost you $60 to $80 million. That's a lot of money. So if we can do something to save some money here and there with having an existing facility at Old Orchard Hill and LA Fitness, that they're there and you can use them,
right?
Maybe that's a little bit some cost savings we might have.
So the options are Orchard Hill, LA Fitness, or build a brand new building for $75 to $80 million.
That's part of why we need to do a few things. One is piggyback onto the strategic planning to see if we can go out and see what the public all says, because we're just a committee of 8 people and we can make our opinions, but as taxpayers here, we'd like to really get their opinions back on what the need is. Do they really want, a brand new 60,000 square foot building? Do they want the money for it and a pool and those types of things in the program?
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilor Paterno.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just want to clear up because Mr. Montana mentioned Old Orchard Hill and the transfer of that building to the town. And that was an issue for us. And that night at the meeting, we actually made a call to the Board of Education chairperson, and he assured us that vote was going to happen. So that building will be turned over to the town in terms of a temporary facility for us. Just so there are no questions about that.
Councilor Kabowski? Sorry.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Ms. Montana, I want to thank you for your time and efforts in leading this committee. I like the idea of the LA Fitness and Orchard Hill combination. I think it gives folks in different corners of town access to a Parks and Rec building that's fairly close to them. And I like the fact that each location offers something different, with Orchard Hill having the fields and classrooms for different things, and LA Fitness having the pool, larger gymnasium. The other thing I like about the LA Fitness location is, in the event of an emergency here in town, they've got locker rooms with multiple showers. So if we could run that on a generator, we've got folks being able to go down there and shower. So I think it's a great idea. So hopefully everything works out, but that's where I'm leaning. Thanks.
Appreciate that.
Mr. Maniscalco.
Yeah.
Here, present. What would you like? Okay, could you address?
I think there was a question about what we thought Colliers was going to charge. You know, they came to us and asked us about $20,000 for looking at 2 sites. We squeezed them for a third site without a cost increase really of too much. I'm going to guess an additional review of the LA Fitness building is going to probably be another $10,000. That being said, and I'm going to say the same thing that I said to the committee when they talked to me about this before, is where that money would come from. And I think at this red hot moment right now is not the time to take any additional money out of our budget. The funding for the original studies was done at the end of last fiscal year with our surplus funds at the end of the year. So we had the money at that time to be able to do that. We've now started a brand new fiscal year. We've kind of just ended our first quarter. We've got probably one of our largest expenses sitting in front of us, which is our winter. We don't know what that is going to entail. Additionally, we've seen significant cost increases associated with with inflation and other things like that. So at this red hot moment, I do not have the additional funds to actually pay for the extra study. So I don't know if this is the right time to be able to do another study. Thankfully, we do have time since you know, we're moving the department into Old Orchard Hill. We'll have the additional time to kind of slow down and take a good look and see how we end the fiscal year. And as we get closer to that time, hopefully we'll have those additional funds we can then use for a study of this nature.
Any questions of Councilor Campbell?
Thank you. So you're not suggesting that we don't do a viability study. You're just suggesting we delay it until we are more sure about how our budget is going to play out, specifically after the winter months when it could be a very bad winter.
Yeah, I don't think that we shouldn't.
And would that if we did delay, would that be a bad thing as far as, you know, this whole temporary, right, use of Orchard Hill, because we're not going to really be starting to use it until probably summer,
what is it, the
summerish, if that?
I think it's fall. I think it's next fall. So we've got time in that perspective. And I think we really do need somebody to sit down and do a very strong viability study, because I do think there are some challenges associated with the LA Fitness building, both from an efficiency standpoint, a loss of revenue standpoint from tax revenue. And you know, Miss Keys did a evaluation of what she could program in there and not program in there, and what is the value of that for the department, I think is a big question that needs to be asked. So.
Right. So, but I would suggest though that we take the committee's recommendation, and you know, you voted 5-4 for this. You spent 7 months on it. You put a lot of thought, walkthroughs, all that kind of stuff. And so I would recommend that we take your recommendation and do our due diligence and you know, wait until the time is right to actually do this, just a viability study, right? We're not you know, saying this is the end all be all, but at least, you know, I think it's worth $10,000 to make sure we don't have to spend $80 million down the road. So that would be my suggestion. Resolution.
Thank you. Any other comments? Councilor Paterno.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I will just remind everyone that when we proposed to purchase the old Rockville Bank building for a new town hall, the biggest pushback we received from residents was, you're taking something off the tax rolls. You're taking, private ownership that's paying taxes, and you're taking that off the tax rolls, turning it into town property. We could get the same pushback in any kind of referendum that included LA Fitness. So I just want us all to be aware of that. That was the biggest pushback we got. Okay, thank you.
What I'm concerned with, everyone spoke here, but what I'm concerned with is, yes, taking a building off our tax rolls was a large argument and justification for not passing the referendum on the bank building. I would also, my concern is I'd like to get a new assessment of survey of the town and what the town's needs are and what the town would like. So, and I know our master plan for the Park and Rec Department is expiring, so they have to work on that. So maybe the Park and Rec Commission could send out, because I know you mentioned this at the meeting, is to do a survey to find out where folks sit, because the last one was 2014, 2018, and it wasn't real. And our demographics, our dynamics have changed in our community. So before we even go forward, I think we need a clear vision of what it is that our community would like and need, and to see if that building is even going to meet the needs of our community. So, holding it off to see what happens with the Park and Rec Commission, the Parks Department, working on the master plan, coming up with, doing a survey online, doing a survey in paper, just to find out what the town really wants at this point in time. So I thank you for the hard effort and energy that you guys have already put into it, but I'd really like to see on what we'd like and where we're headed, and see what we can create. And I also understand that the price tag for a new building is the price tag for a new building because of these supply chain issues and also the cost of inflation. But on a regular year, I don't know, on a normal year in the economy, I should say, I guess, it would only be about $50,000, $50,000 to $60,000. Yes. Oh, billion. Million, yes, sorry, not thousands, millions, thank you, 50 to 60 million, there you go, thank you, instead of 80 million, so.
We would not be getting any reimbursement like we typically would for a Board of Education school.
Oh, of course not, of course not.
Yeah, it would be all on us.
But we don't even know what we need at this point, we don't, seriously, we don't know what the town wants or needs, or to have a survey would be fantastic to find out what everyone is wishing for. Councilor Paterno.
Madam Mayor, I think what Mr. Montana suggested, which I think is a smart move, is to look at what the Strategic Planning Committee is doing, because they're moving faster than the Park and Rec Commission is. And whatever survey the committee needs to do is piggyback onto that strategic planning survey, because it will happen sooner. So I think that's a great idea.
Thank you, Mr. Montana, for presenting your.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. And moving on. Get my glasses on. Moving on to item number 11, as consent agenda, first reading none, second reading none, and C is miscellaneous, there is none. Unfinished, there is none. New business, 13A. Councilor Kozakowski, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. 13A, resolution, opt-out of Public Act 21-29 relating to requirements for allowance of accessory apartments in single-family zones. Whereas the state of Connecticut recently adopted Public Act 21-29, which modified section 8-2 of the general statutes to establish specific provisions regarding zoning regulations for accessory apartments. And whereas adopted law does not allow the town to create standards any greater than those set forth in single-family residences as it relates to bulk zoning requirements, including setbacks, landscaping, and does not permit required ownership. And whereas unless a municipality affirmatively votes to opt out therefrom, local zoning regulations would be required to adhere to PA 21-29 provisions regarding accessory apartments. And whereas no municipality may opt out of the accessory apartment provisions of section 8-2 of the Connecticut General Statutes as amended by PA 2129 on or after January 1st, 2023. And whereas the Planning and Zoning Commission of a municipality by a 2/3 vote may initiate the process by which such municipality opts out of the PA 2129 provisions regarding accessory apartments. And whereas the Planning and Zoning Commission desires to retain local zoning control over the regulation of accessory apartments by opting out of the provisions of PA 2129 regarding accessory apartments, and whereas in an effort to meet the spirit of the law, the Planning and Zoning Commission recently adopted new accessory apartment zoning regulations to allow accessory apartments through issuance of a zoning permit, simplifying the process to create an accessory unit. And whereas the Planning and Zoning Commission held a public hearing April 26, 2022 and July 12, 2022, and voted unanimously to opt out of the accessory apartment provisions of Section 8-2 as amended by the applicable provisions of PA 2129. And whereas the South Windsor Town Council hereby recognizes the recent regulation changes made by the Planning and Zoning Commission that make creating an accessory apartment easier by reducing application costs and creating greater flexibility in future uses of existing apartments created. And now, therefore, be it resolved that the Town Council opts out of the accessory apartment provisions of Section 8-2 of the Connecticut General Statutes as amended by applicable provisions of Public Act 2129.
Thank you, Councilor Tazakowski. Is there a second? Okay. Councilor Paterna?
Oh, Councilor Evans, go ahead.
Councilor Evans?
Thank you. I just wanted to ask a couple questions, which I know that we've already talked about, but I just wanted some clarification. I've had a few conversations about this opt-out recently. So the opt-out only comes as a result of what the state is moving forward, but we as a town have already had this in place. Is that correct? And now we're just adopting it as the opt-out.
Correct. Mr. Folger is here to answer questions too, but I would say that planning and zoning already has regulations in place that they put in place. So I want to say maybe a year, 2 years ago, maybe even longer at this point. And then the state, essentially almost the state saw what we did and said, hey, that's such a great idea. We're going to put our own rules in place. But they gave municipalities an option to have local rule and opt out. That's the easiest way to think of how this works.
So this is nothing really new. This is something we've had. It's just the choice of opting out. And it also allows us the option to make changes as we see needed going forward, or is this where we stand and where we stay?
So, you know, planning and zoning has put this regulation in place already. They would have the ability to modify their regulation how they see fit moving forward. I think if we were to continue forward with just having the state statute be our guiding principle, we'd be beholden to what the state says they're going to do. Especially, I believe there's a drop dead date for the opt-out option. So if we didn't act within that period of time, then yeah, we would have an issue.
Thank you. And then my only other question is about accessory apartments versus multifamily. This would not apply to a multifamily. It would apply to only accessory apartments.
Only accessory apartments.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. And
how'd I do, Jeff?
Councilor Paterna?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Maybe Mr. Folger could join us for just a minute?
We have a public hearing here at 8 o'clock, so I'd like to,
Oh, all right, maybe we should hold
if
off.
you'd like to, we could suspend this discussion at this time, and we can go to our public hearing, if that's okay, and then we can get back to this.
We'll come back to you.
We'll come back to you, okay? So I'd like to, we have a public hearing at 8 o'clock. On citizen input on the Health Department Ordinance, Chapter 50, Article 510. Amanda, please read it.
To be published in the Journal Inquirer, September 22nd, 2022, legal ad, Town of South Windsor. Notice is hereby given that the South Windsor Town Council has set Monday, October 3rd, 2022 at 8 p.m. in the council chambers of South Windsor Town Hall, 1540 Sullivan Avenue, South Windsor, Connecticut, as the time and place for a public hearing to receive citizen input on the proposed updates to Articles 5, Article 8, Article 9, and Article 10 of the Health Department Ordinance, a copy of which is on file in the office of the town clerk. Dated at South Windsor, Connecticut, this 22nd day of September 2022, attested by Catherine Stenworth.
Thank you, Amanda. Is there anyone here that would like to speak in the public hearing concerning these articles? Anyone from the public? Anyone anyone from the public? Not seeing anyone from the public coming up to speak. Amanda, if I could, we normally get the article, or Catherine, we normally get the newspaper legal posting on, so that way it can be recorded for perpetuity there. So, and at this time, I'd like to close the public hearing. No one has come up to speak. And we normally do a straw poll. So all those in favor of changing this ordinance, say, raise your hand, please. And those opposed? Not seeing any? Okay, thank you. So it was 1 yes, 0 no, just a straw poll on this. So appreciate it. I'm closing the public hearing. Thank you. Now I'd like to go back to our regular meeting with our comments. I'm calling Mr. Folger back up, please, for 13A.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Go right ahead.
Okay.
Councilor Paterno.
Yes, Councilor Kozakowski is our go-to person on matters of planning and zoning, so thank you for your support and helping us to understand it. But I just want to ask a few questions so that people who are viewing the meeting will see what the changes are. So if I can go down this list, the changes that our Planning and Zoning Commission has made is there are no short-term rentals.
Correct.
It must be owner-occupied.
Yep.
But they've increased the space that you can actually add into these apartments.
Yeah, so it's,
Right.
the minimum size would be either 1,000 square feet or 30% of the total gross square footage of the dwelling, whichever is smaller.
Okay, and then they've gone and streamlined the process so it's easier for people to get these permits and not a long drawn-out process.
Yeah, it's going to be a standard permit where the current
Right.
Accessory apartment requirement requires a public hearing from Planning and Zoning Commission. And like you said, right now the maximum, previously the maximum square footage for an accessory apartment was 700 square feet.
Wow,
So this will be larger.
big change. And then lastly, they've actually reduced the application cost to the residents or the community.
Yeah, there's no public hearing.
Right.
So there's no
No public hearing.
fee on
Okay.
it. I'm not sure what the actual fee would be. I mean, generally,
Yeah.
what we look at for an application is usually $60 for a
Right.
planning and zoning
Right.
application. So it would be
Okay.
quite less for someone
Yeah.
who's applying
Yeah.
for this.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Last question is for Councilor Kozakowski. When this legislation was written by the state, are there towns that do not have any regulations for accessory apartments? Is that why this came about?
Don't ask me to tell you which ones, but
No,
yes,
no, not a name.
Sure there would be.
Yes, there are some towns, municipalities
Yeah.
that do not allow
Okay.
accessory apartments.
Okay, thank
And
you.
they would and just like South Windsor, they would have the ability to opt out of this provisions if
They
so
created their own,
choose.
yeah.
Correct.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Folger.
Thank you, Mr.
Councilor
Folger.
Kozakowski. I
Thank you.
am happy to support this.
Thank you, Councilor Paterno. Councilor Kozakowski.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. there was one more significant change in the recent adoption of zoning regulations on this. I just want to note, at least for our record, was that the new zoning regulations allow for the accessory apartment to be in a detached building from the primary house.
I'm sorry, detachable from the?
Detached, so in a separate building than the main house, and that's a recent change.
Very nice.
That is within the spirit of the Public Act, although they imposed additional requirements related to that detached unit. So just point of clarity. And I just want to also say I fully support this opting out. When Public Act 2129 was written, and it was amended a little bit over time, but what it was a one-size-fits-all requirement for all towns to follow one set of standards. And one thing that I think we can all agree that 169 municipalities in the state are very different. So anytime we have these one-size-fits-all regulations, they're not going to work for everybody, and I don't think it works for South Windsor. So I'm glad that we are opting out, and I'm glad that we're opting out of all of them. So in case there's future revisions needed to be made to our zoning regulations, we have that. The Planning and Zoning Commission has that authority to do so. So just again, I'm fully in support of this, and I'm glad that we're taking this up. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to say congratulations for our town having the forethought to think about within our borders and not go with the state guidelines when here we can personalize it for our community, for our residents, for our citizens, and still offer them, you know, the hometown connection and not, you know, and then they can deal with it directly here within the town. I'd like to say thank you for having that, and I will definitely support this.
Yeah.
It makes sense to keep it here at home. Yes. So all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Not seeing any, the motion carries. Thank you. Thank you. Moving on to 13B, Councilor Gamble.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Resolution approving the sale of surplus Monopole tower parts. Whereas the town of South Windsor completed the purchase of a 115-foot Monopole communication tower from Valmont Industries for the Veterans Memorial Park project, and whereas the town vendor Eastern Communications has completed the construction of said tower, and whereas Valmont Industries has shipped 3 extra mount kits for the tower and that were not billed or paid by the town, and whereas Valmont Industries has informed the town that Valmont Industries does not want the parts returned and has authorized the town to dispose of the 3 extra mount kits as the town sees fit. Therefore, be it resolved that the South Windsor Town Council hereby authorizes Town Manager Michael Maniscalco to sell the extra mount kits from Valmont Industries, and any monies received be deposited into Emergency Communications Upgrade Capital Account.
Is there a second?
Wait.
Oh, no, wait,
No.
I'm sorry.
No, that is it. That is it.
Okay, thank you, Council. Are you sure? Okay, thank you. Is there a second? Okay, any discussion?
Where does one sell these parts?
I want to know what towns are
eBay.
missing their parts. What shit, like,
They'll be at the farmer's market this coming Saturday morning.
I was expecting a yard sale
wonder
at
there's-
Mr. Maniscalco's front yard.
supply shortages, that explains it. 3 are going to one town. I don't know, Mr. Maniscalco.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure where we're going to end up selling them, but I think there are a number of government auction websites that we'll probably look into to try to sell them, unless Mr. Roberts has somebody already lined up.
Mr. Roberts, join us, please. I know this was mentioned in capital projects. Supply chain issues.
We have a couple vendors that we're already working with other communication projects that do this work throughout the state, and we have at least 2 vendors that are very interested in possibly procuring these directly from us, so we won't have to go very far to get rid of them.
And the funds are going to go back into capital projects?
That's what I understand.
Great. Any other questions? Councilor Kozakowski?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So I just want to understand something. So we bought a tower. We got all the pieces, we tried putting it together, and we had leftover pieces.
Someone didn't read the
It was
instructions.
put together correctly, we were shipped extra pieces.
Okay. We have more pieces than
Okay,
So-
all right, because I just remember the last time I put together some IKEA furniture, there was leftover pieces. And let me tell you, it did not work the way it was supposed to, so. So they were shipped extra pieces.
Yeah, we were shipped extra pieces.
Okay, thank you.
Councilor Gamble?
Thank you. One last question, Madam Mayor. So this Monopole is sort of a cell tower for public safety and the fire department and the police department, right? This is not for the residents to use, correct?
So my understanding is that there's going to be space on there that will be leasable for private cell phone companies to hang equipment on there that will then benefit all our residents. But the primary use is a public safety purpose.
So that's phase 2 of this project, or how does that come about happening? Is that
So we
something,
would
is
have
that
to-
something we
yeah.
actively look to do, or?
So some of the communications companies that we work with have a number of connections with cell service companies, and they actively market the space up there with the intent that we would then be making money back on the lease, and that helps pay for the tower and stuff like that.
Thank you. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Not seeing any, the motion carries. Moving on to 13C, please. Councilor Paterna.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This is a resolution approving a refund of taxes to 39 South Windsor taxpayers. Total of said refunds being $10,059.93. Be it resolved that the South Windsor Town Council hereby approves a refund of property taxes to 39 South Windsor taxpayers, the total of said refunds being $10,059.93, and as more fully described on attachment exhibit ?
We have
There's
the...
no exhibit letter there.
There's no exhibit letter there.
Is it A or B?
Which one is it? Do we have the listing? Let's see. Right there.
I do not believe it has an actual exhibit number or letter on it.
Right here, the refunds. So this will be Exhibit A, I believe, since,
We can call it
yes? We'll make this Exhibit A, please.
Exhibit A, thank you.
There we go. And you have that marked, Clerk of the Council, to make this Exhibit A. Thank you. Is there a second? Second. Any discussion? Not hearing any, seeing any. All those in favor? Aye. And the motion, no opposed? And the motion carries. Thank you. Moving on to item 13D. Councilor Evans, please.
Resolution setting time and place for a public hearing to receive citizen input on the transfer of $749,556 from the non-recurring capital account to fund 2 portables at Philip R. Smith Elementary School. Be it resolved that the South Windsor Town Council hereby sets October 17, 2022 at 8:00 p.m. in the council chambers of the South Windsor Town Hall, 1540 Sullivan Avenue, South Windsor, Connecticut, as the time and place for a public hearing to receive citizen input on the transfer of $749,556 from the non-recurring capital account to fund the addition of 2 portables at Philip R. Smith Elementary School.
Is there a second? And Mr. Roberts, could you come up, please, and explain a little bit about what this is concerning, since you're on Capitol? You're on.
Yeah, so part of the regular process is if a project in capital closes with a balance left over, financial accounting with the finance department requests that it be transferred to capital non-reoccurring fund. At that point in time, if a project on the capital projects wants to go forward, they can make a request for those funds. Then we have the public hearing on that, and then if it all passes through resolution from you folks, finance will transfer that money from that non-recurring account to the new capital projects account.
Thank you, Mr. Roberts. That was really a great explanation. That was short and sweet, and the steps and the processes. Thank you. So any discussion? Councilor Gamble.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So was there a discussion item regarding this in our last meeting? Because isn't there usually a discussion and then we set the public hearing after?
What this is yes. However, this is a request for capital accounts. This is a capital request that the Board of Education had gone to the capital meeting with a request. So now they're requesting that the funds be transferred over. This isn't a project that we're doing a public hearing at this point in time, and we can still have discussion after the public hearing.
Yeah, you're still going to need to pass a resolution to approve it, to move it forward, so we can have the discussion item, either a separate discussion item or have the discussion during the resolution, if that works.
Okay.
It's up to you.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure I didn't miss the
You didn't miss
No, you didn't
anything.
miss anything.
Okay.
You didn't miss anything.
All right.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Not seeing any. The motion carries to set the public hearing. Thank you, Mr. Roberts. Item 13E, Deputy Mayor King, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Resolution amending a previous approved resolution from the September 19th, 2022 Town Council meeting. Resolution appointing Amanda Palma, correct?
Yes.
All right. As Clerk of the Council. Whereas the South Windsor Town Council previously adopted a resolution appointing Amanda Poma as clerk of the council on September 19, 2022, which resolution stated an incorrect term and date. Now therefore be it resolved that the South Windsor Town Council hereby appoints Amanda Poma as clerk of the council for a term ending November 13th, 2023 to fill the unexpired term of Scott Nolan.
Is there a second? Second. And any discussion? Yes, there is, absolutely.
Oh, I was like, what's happening? Yeah.
I'm going to take a second and I'm going to have Amanda on camera here so everyone can see Amanda's beautiful face and say hi to South Windsor. And this is our new clerk of the council. And to reach Amanda, you can dial 860-644-2511, extension 2206. And her email is also on our town website, amanda.poma@southwindsor-ct.gov. I got it right. Okay. So if you'd like to say hello to South Windsor, Amanda, I have to say that I have been working with Amanda since last Monday, which was her first day, correct? Was
Yes,
last
it
Monday?
was. Yes.
We've had an extremely productive week, and we work very well together, and we're in sync, and it's grooving, and we're doing great, and this is our first official meeting this evening. So I welcome you to the town. If you'd like to say a few words, you're more than welcome to.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I am very honored to be here. I'm very excited to learn and to get to work with all of you wonderful individuals. And if I can be of any further assistance, please do not hesitate to reach out to me. Be gentle, treat me kindly, be patient, because little experience, but I'm very happy to be here and very eager to learn from all of you. So thank you for welcoming me.
Thank you, Amanda. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Not seeing any. The motion carries. Thank you. Item 13F, Councilor Evans, please.
Resolution accepting the resignation of Carol Flutterick from the Water Pollution Control Authority effective 9/13/22. Be it resolved that the South Windsor Town Council hereby accepts with regret the resignation of Carol Flutterick from the Water Pollution Control Authority effective 9/13/2022, and be it further resolved that the South Windsor Town Council extends its thanks to Carol Flutterick for the time she has dedicated to serving her community by her membership on the Water Pollution Control Authority.
Is there a second? Second. And discussion. Councilor Paterno?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just want to add my thanks to Carol for her many years of dedicated service on the Water Pollution Control Authority. She did some great work. Thank you, Carol.
Any other comments? Thank you, Carolyn. Carol, I appreciate all the time and effort and energy that you put onto the WPCA and guiding us through the years with the sewer treatment plant and all the piping and the billing and everything that happens down at WPCA. So thank you for all your time, energy, and effort to our community. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Not hearing any. The motion carries. Item 14, passage of ordinance. There isn't any. Item 15, public input for any matter. Public input for any matter shall not exceed 30 minutes. When recognized by the mayor, the speaker shall approach the lectern and give their name and address. Speakers shall avoid personal attacks or impugning or alleging an improper motive to any person. The speaker may address the council on any item. The speaker shall limit their speaking time to 5 minutes. Is there anyone from the council that would like to speak? Good evening, Mr. Joseph Kennedy.
Joe Kennedy, 81 Allison Drive. First, I'd like to thank the councilors, the commissioners, and all the board members for their dedication and their hard work. I think the two registrar voters and all the election workers, they need a big round of applause. They did a great job during the pandemic. They've had primaries, and now they got a referendum, and the election's right around the corner. And a lot of young people stepped up because the older people were a little leery with good results because of the pandemic. So I applaud Sue Larson and Sue Burnham. They do a great job. Thirdly, I urge everyone 50 or over to get the new booster shot. It covers Omicron, BA4, BA5. The reason why I ask people 50 years over, well, Connecticut's done a great job. We have one of the highest vaccination rates. Mike, the town manager, did a great job during the pandemic. The reason why I say 50 or over, because of the 1 million people that passed away, 9 out of 10 were 50 years or older. So it would be a good precaution if you got that. If you don't, and you get a cold or flu-like symptoms, get tested. They have therapeutics now that are wonderful. So, and especially if you're unvaccinated, I mean, this stuff saves your life. So you got two choices. And then a lot of people, if you go to the doctor's office and dentist's office, people are still wearing masks. I know when I go to church every week, a lot of the older people and a lot of the younger people wear masks out of respect for everyone else. When it comes to mask wearing, you're not only protecting yourself, you're protecting other people. I'm hoping that Connecticut does not have a surge. I know in Boston, they test wastewater and it was up 104%. But I think Connecticut did such a good job on vaccinations that we'll be okay. Fourthly, I'd like to put on my Agricultural Commission hat on. We're looking for a change in the meeting format. I'm working with Jeff Folger and our environmental specialist. It's got to go up the chain, so it'll perhaps chain of command will end up with Mr. Mike. What we like to do is we meet bi-monthly. So November, January, and March we'll have virtual or a Zoom meeting. May, September, and November we'll have in-person meetings. I'd like to give you some of the reasons why, but first I want to give you, my commission is made of 12 members. 8 of my members are 65 to 85 years old. We do have 3 20-year-olds that have come on in the last 2 years. 9 out of my 12 members have 10 years to 30 plus years, so we got a very experienced crew there. It was, as people know, I'm off the grid. I don't have a computer. I don't do social media. I have a phone. Mike calls me, or his secretary calls me a phone. I get an answering service, but that's how I do business. But as commissioner, my more experienced commissioners thought it was a good idea because not only because of COVID, cold, and flu, you have inclement weather, roads, and they also mentioned it's dark, you know, when older people driving like that. And my younger people, they said we should have virtual meetings all the time. I mean, they've came up, you know, I don't know anything about it, you know, I have to ask. The 2 times that Jeff Folger did our virtual meetings, I had to borrow my brother's computer, and actually he did everything. I'm ignorant when it comes to that, but so I'm hoping that when it goes up the chain command that the town manager will approve it. And fifthly, please support your local businesses, farm stands, and farmer market. And I think, Andy, is this the last farmer's market for the season coming up, October 8th? And all the people that volunteer for that do a great job. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Kennedy. I appreciate you calling it my commissioners, my committee. You're taking ownership there, Joe. I like that. Moving on, we have item number 16, communications from the council. Any communications from the council? I had something. I'm trying to remember. Oh, Wood Library is celebrating the 50th anniversary of the Friends of Wood Library on Thursday evening. And then our Historical Society is also celebrating 75th anniversary this year. and they'll both be taking place. Monday is the Historical Society. And you can find that on both their websites at Wood Library and also on the Historical Society. And there was something else I wanted to mention. Item 17, executive session, we have none. Item 18 is adjournment. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
Second? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Not hearing any. The motion carries. Thank you. Good night, everyone.